We begin this sacred season of Advent with the Gospel of Luke, the most gentle, creative, the most tender evangelist of the four. Luke is designed to begin a conversation that takes place each Sunday at this table, at this podium. Luke will be with us all year. Advent begins at the end, the promised return of Christ at the end of time. For the faithful disciple, history is always moving forward, a journey to the fulfillment of God's reign, when God's Christ will return as Lord of everyone. We therefore live in a permanent state of Advent. The disciples' life, yours and mine, is one of watchfulness, preparation, perseverance, alertness, as we await the return of the Holy One, Christ. To realize God's presence in our midst. Now, Luke's conversation, not only today, but for the rest of the year, liturgical year. God is everywhere. Thus, the work of Advent. We break open the scriptures at our Sunday assemblies every week, where we find Christ not only in the elements of the Eucharist, but in you people, the community, in the person of the priest, no matter how holy or sinful he may be, and also in the proclamation of the word. The priest's primary work is preaching the word of God. There is a saying by a disaffected and discouraged Catholic that in the United States, they have Saturday night alive and Sunday morning dead. The work of Advent is to change that concept. And Advent asks us to try. I have always thought that the best service I could offer as a priest is to place the person and the message of the gospel, the message of Jesus, within the reach of ordinary people. This is the goal I have pursued for many, many years as I comment on the gospel text each weekend in a simple manner, more or less successful. The conviction that motivates me is that the faith in Jesus Christ is the greatest strength a human being can find to face life each day, the clearest light to live life successfully, the most indestructible hope to look to the future with confidence. Advent helps us to accomplish this. Our time of waiting, our time is a time of waiting. Waiting. Every time is a time of waiting. Waiting for the breaking of eternity. All time runs forward. All time, both history and personal life, is expectation. Time itself is waiting. Waiting for not another time, but for that which is eternal. My elderly mother often asked, "But Joe, why is God so slow in his waiting, so slow, so long to take me?" And I say to myself today, and to you, my brothers and sisters, on this first Sunday of Advent, wait for the Lord. I mean, wait. Take courage. Be alert. Be stout-hearted. What, if anything, does Advent mean to you this year? Are you psychologically able to disconnect momentarily for whatever is that preoccupies you? To disengage from the fast-paced routine of responsibility at home, at work, to free yourselves just for a moment from worry and wonder, from fear and fortune, regardless of whether your fortune is good or bad? Can you climb out of your skin for an isolated moment during the season of Advent? Season of expectation, anticipation, faith-based celebration of a thrilling reality that your redemption, my redemption, is at hand. Advent asks us to try. Advent asks you and me to acknowledge that there is so much more to the weeks ahead. The shopping, wrapping, decorating, donating, so much more than the human warmth of love and joy that is so much part of our lives. Advent asks you and me not to let yourself and ourselves get caught up in the immediacy and materiality of this joyful season. Enjoy it, yes. Enjoy it, of course. But use the eye of faith to see through all this stuff, to see what is true, what is lasting, what is significant. Namely, that you and I are part of a people of long ago, and part of a people of God that did indeed stand erect, did indeed raise their heads, did indeed, through the prophets, receive a redemption that was then and is for you and me at hand. At hand. Advent asks us to try. Many have distanced themselves from our church. You know that, and I know that. Perhaps they have not found Jesus in this church. Just last week, a gentleman after Mass approached me in the courtyard and politely asked me and showed his concern about all the people leaving our church, the Universal Church. My only answer now is to call to mind a scene from the Scriptures. While Jesus was preaching, he saw people walking away. And he said to the apostles, "Are you going to walk away also?" And Peter, as frank as he always is, said, "Master, to whom should we go? You have the words of everlasting life." We too, for all one knows, may have to say the same thing during this holy, joyful season of Advent. Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words. You have the words. See, Advent asks us to try. Oh, we've had a couple of tough years, haven't we? Not only the world, not only the country, but the world. And I'm afraid it's going to be around for a long time. Augustine in the 5th century, very, very restless, very, very lost in sin and in the pleasures of the world, cried out, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." But listen further, my brothers and sisters, to a passage in his Confessions, how his restless, anxious heart and empty soul cried out in pain. Quote, "Late have I loved you, O beauty, so ancient, so new. Late have I loved you. For you behold, you were within me, and I outside, and I sought you outside, and in my unloveliness fell upon those lovely things that you have made. You were with me, and I was not with you. You called and you cried to me to break open my deafness, and you sent forth your beams, and you shone upon me and chased away my blindness. You breathed fragrance upon me, and I drew in my breath and do now pant for you. I tasted you and now hunger and thirst for you. You touched me, and I have burned for your peace." End of quote. Augustine's is a special form of Advent expectancy. Yours and mine may be less poetic, less palpable. Your Advent expectancy and mine may be simple, faith-based conviction that we are now invited to wait for the Lord. So take courage, be stout-hearted, wait for the Lord. The Advent anthem is loud and clear. Emmanuel. God is present. God is everywhere.